Well, the hourglass is running out on the Bush tax cuts. Here we are, day before Thanksgiving. And if something is not done very soon, we could all be in for a rude awakening come New Year's Day. Every single taxpayer in the United States. So why the delay? Richard Socarides is the former special assistant to President Clinton and my guest now. Richard, you know, the Democrats could have taken care of this when they had the helm. They wanted to postpone it till after the election, and it wasn't as toxic an issue. And here we are, November 24th, still nothing's been done, and not one person in this country who pays taxes is not facing a tax hike right now. So
right. Because
why?
there's all this uncertainty. Well, it seems very dysfunctional, right? I mean, first of all, I think I would take issue with a little bit about what you said. I don't think the Democrats, don't think it was ever totally within the Democrats' power before the election to take care of it. I mean, I think this dispute has been going on, right? And it centers around.
But why not? They had control of both houses.
Well,
in the presidency.
but you know, there are also kind of procedural rules and getting things through, and there are ways to slow things down. You know, maybe they could have taken care of it, but we are. The fact is, we are where we are because we had an election, right? We had this election in which the argument was, do you extend these tax cuts across the board for everyone?
And they were still arguing about that.
And we're still arguing about it. I mean, I for one think that they will make a deal, that President Obama, that these tax cuts will be extended across the board, that the Bush tax cuts
even for the rich,
even for the super rich. I mean, we're now having this debate, right, about cutting taxes for 2% of the wealthiest Americans. So, I mean. But I happen to disagree. I don't think we should do it. But I also understand, even as a Democrat, that we voted on. It seems to me that we voted on this. You know, we had an election. It wasn't like exactly on the ballot. But the truth is, we had an election. You know, the Republicans took back the House, and I think it was a referendum largely on these tax cuts. And the people said, we want to try this. I mean, no one knows for certain, right? These are economic ideas. No one knows for certain what economic policy will work. But it seems to me the American people said, this is what you got to try. And I think Obama is willing to make this deal. And
Because he's going to get pushed. He's going to get pushed back from the left. He's already been getting pushed by the left. And now we see this MoveOn.org. They're calling for video submissions from people. Here's this guy with the double earrings,
right,
who's saying Barack of 2008.
Double earrings, right?
Now that, hey, I have him myself. Who says Barack? That's how he refers to our president. We missed the Barack of 2008, who was going to stand up against the rich and say no to, quote, a millionaire bailout. That's how he refers to, and a millionaire tax giveaway. And now this has become MoveOn's cause.
Well, this is what the progressive, there's this huge fight in the progressive community now. And you saw David Axelrod, the President Obama's senior advisor, last week suggest that President Obama was willing to give on this. And there was enormous pushback from the progressive community, and Nancy Pelosi and other members of Congress were in on last Thursday, and they said to the president, you can't do this. And this is what concerns me, that the president is not really yet showing a lot of leadership on this, because he's now, you know, he had this meeting. Axelrod said, okay, maybe we'll extend them. And he had this meeting with progressives, and he said, well, okay, if you can come up with a plan and we don't have to extend them, that's fine with me. Just bring me the votes. The president has got a lead on this issue now. I mean, the time for positioning and maneuvering is over.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. I do think they will come to a deal. Now, I think probably what the White House is maybe hoping for a little bit is that the Republicans overplay their hand. You know, when President Clinton was faced with a similar issue when Gingrich just came in, when the Republicans took over the House in '95, and there was that government shutdown, it was widely perceived that the Republicans overplayed their hand, never thinking that Clinton would allow the government to be shut down. But he allowed the government to be shut down, and then he convinced the American public that the Republicans were the ones who were being unreasonable.
But is there any way Barack Obama lets these tax cuts expire for the middle class? I mean, we can get the numbers. Look what's going to happen. Look what's going to happen.
The numbers are
if they don't do something about this. This is for a family of four. A family of four that earns $70,000 a year is facing an increase of $2,600 or more. A family, this is, you know, double income earners, that makes $150,000 or more is going to face almost $5,000 more in taxes. That's a lot for a family that makes $150,000.
This is, of course, because of the alternative minimum tax and because of a lot of the other stuff. Because it's not the argument. The battle seems to be just about the tax cuts for the rich.
But President Obama's not going to allow that to. He's not going to allow that to.
He's not going to allow it to happen.
So he's got to cut some sort of a deal. But my question to you, Richard, is: so if he cuts a deal, let's say he extends the tax cuts for everybody, including the rich, for a year, which is what they're talking about. How does that help him? Right now, we're fall of 2010. A year from now, we're fall of 2011. The presidential race is underway. either way, it's more dangerous for him politically to do that then, to sort of raise taxes on any one group then, isn't it, versus now?
I think that this whole tax cut issue, while it was a central issue in the campaign, I don't think it's the central part of his economic philosophy. I don't think it's a central part of his recovery philosophy. I mean, I think what will happen is a year from now, when we're really in the middle of the president's reelection, the economy will have turned around or not. It will not really be
But the Fed is saying it won't. I mean, what the Fed said yesterday is don't expect anything super at all.
Well, but you saw jobless claims today, all-time really low
They're
jobless claims.
They're still projecting unemployment is going to be in the 9s for the rest of this year and not much below that even into 2011.
Well,
so it's not like by this time next year Barack Obama is going to have a much healthier, robust economic picture, and he's going to be faced with the same question: do you raise taxes on the rich, the job creators, in the midst of that kind of environment?
Or do you change the subject? I mean, quite frankly, I think if we do not see an economy, a year from now, if we do not see an economy that is at least improving, even if it hasn't improved dramatically, but at least if a year from now we can't say that the economy is really headed in the right direction, that these things really worked, President Obama has much bigger problems than whether or not to raise taxes on the rich.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Richard, thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, we'll see you the week after.
Okay.
Well,